Hello and thank you for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And so today I thought I'd share with you a card that I used in my November card classes earlier this month because it was very popular with my class attendees and I thought other people might be interested in it too. So here it is. It uses a couple of things. It uses the Whimsical Woodland embossing folder, which comes from the July to December 2022 mini catalogue. And it uses a sentiment and die from my go-to Christmas set this year, which is Christmas Glow and Labels Aglow. And it uses a technique which I saw online, or got the idea of from online. I think it was a Gina K video. But anyway, that will become clear as we go along. We'll start with what materials you use. So I've used a card base of soft suede because I like soft suede for Christmas projects because it's got that sort of golden undertone which works really well if you add some gold into the rest of your card. So as always, it's half of an A4 piece of paper, 21 centimetres that way, 14.8 that way, and scored at 10.5. And you can see from my fingers I've already been crafting this morning. So I'm just going to fold that. If you are a person who doesn't use metric, that's fine. Just use whatever your standard basic card size is. So a card base. I've got two pieces of Very Vanilla and they're not the same size. So I've got a piece that is 10 by 14.3, which is for the inside of my card. So I'll just put it to the side because I don't need it yet. And then I've got a piece, I'll show you here, a piece which is cut down half a centimetre smaller again. So that's 9, this one is 9.5 by 13.8, and that's for the front. Now, for class, I used the beautiful Distressed Gold specialty paper. However, when I came to do this video this morning, I discovered that all of my other Distressed Gold paper is somewhere between here and the warehouse in Australia. So I've had to improvise showing you, but I think you'll agree that that Distressed Gold specialty paper is just fantastic. So you'll just have to imagine that this piece of specialty glimmer paper is actually Distressed Gold specialty paper. And you'll notice that there's a hole cut out in the middle of it. And that is because the sentiment, I've given it a shadow die. And so to be a bit more economical, I have used the Labels Aglow, this little die here, and I've just cut it out of the centre because no one's going to see it once you stick it all together. So you might as well make use of that piece of glimmer paper. The other thing you need is a little piece of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. And again, I've used that same die from Labels Aglow, and I've stamped in soft suede a sentiment from the Brightest Glow set. Now, one of the very nice things, there are many nice things about this set, but one of the things that I really like, because I really love this little die for the sentiments, is that it fits lots. So I could have used 'Tis the Season, I could have done Happy New Year, I could have done Let Your Heart Be Light, All Is Merry and Bright is what I did use, or I could have used Joy. And in my cards this season I've used all of those things in different ways. So stamp your All Is Merry and Bright, or whatever you're going to use, on Very Vanilla, die cut it with that, and when it comes to attaching they'll go together. But we'll just pop them over there, because all of the real action is happening here on this smaller piece of your Very Vanilla. Okay, so how did I do it? Well, I started with my paper trimmer, and when I did this in class, I took the cutting blade off of my trimmer so that there was only the scoring blade there. And if you think you might have some sort of fatal accident with the trimmer blade, take it off as well. But all I did was I just went along and I scored at 1 centimetre intervals. Now, you do want to have a decent depthed score. Don't be light-hearted about it. Also, don't be so tough about it that you cut the paper. So you want a firm score line, not a feeble score line, but not a strongman score line that will crack, cause the paper to crack. Now, there's also nothing magical about the fact that I've chosen to do it at 1 centimetre intervals. Quite honestly, you could do it at 2 centimetre intervals, you could do it at 1.5 centimetre intervals, you could do it randomly, you can do whatever you like, but it was just easier for my class people to get the hang of just making a series of 1 centimetre score lines. So, and when you get to the end, because this is 9.5 wide, obviously you can either leave that last one wide, or you can come along and make it 1/2 centimetre. I think I'll make it 1/2 centimetre, but again, personal choice. Or you could have just been very generous on your ones so that you never ended up with a little narrow one at the end. Whatever. That's the point I'm making, is with this technique, you can have your score lines however you want them. Right, so now it's going to get messy, so I'll have a bit of scrap paper. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the first of my inks, which is Sahara Sand, which I picked because, it's in the same colour family as the soft suede. And it's a light colour. So I'm just going to add some ink, over this. And you can see that already it's starting to highlight where the score lines go. You can do this as light-handed or as heavy-handed as you like, but I'm just going to go for kind of like a medium coverage, because in the end you're not really going to see this layer. All this is really doing is helping to define the lines. Okay, having done that, I'm now going to take my beautiful Whimsical Woodland 3D folder, which I have used again repeatedly and multitudinous times this Christmas season. Going to put it in, and I'm just going to run it through my Stampin' Cut emboss machine. Okay, and if you hold your mouth right, you can see the beautiful whimsical trees are there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the second of my inks, which is Soft Succulent, and I'm just going to run that over. Now again, you can be as light-handed or as dark as you like. It's also one of those techniques where each time you do it, it's going to turn out slightly differently just because of the way you've inked it. And now I'm going to come in with my soft suede. And I'm going to start off light, because I don't want to completely obscure all of the green that I've just laid down. And what I'm going to do next, though, is I'm going to be a bit heavier around the outside, sort of like a vignette, which again is optional. You certainly don't have to do that if you don't want to. Okay, but you can see I quite like the way it picks up the pattern a little bit more. And because I'm going to come back in with my soft succulent, but the sad story of my soft succulent, as you can see, it's been through 5 classes this month, and so it's got a little bit dog-eared around the edges, and it's also dried up a bit. And my soft succulent re-inker is in whatever shipping container or cargo hold of an aeroplane my distressed gold is in. So I'm not getting much traction from that. So I'm going to sneak in with a little bit of Evening Evergreen. If your soft succulent is in better shape than mine, you won't have to do that. But I'm sure yours hasn't just been through 5 classes. Okay. Right, and so as you can see, you can just keep playing around with these inks until you're happy. Like, I've obviously greened it up, but in doing so I've lost some of my soft succulent, so I'm just going to come in around the edges again. So this is the fun, I think this is the fun bit. We're just playing around, getting it as you want it to be. The right kind of mixture of green and soft succulent. Okay, and you can see here that I've done, like, that one is much lighter and greener, and that one's much darker and browner. So, whatever you like the look of is what you should do. In fact, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to go back in with a bit more of the soft succulent, because I think that at heart, I'm a soft succulent kind of a girl. Oh, soft succulent. I'm a soft suede kind of a person when it comes to Christmas. So I'm just going to zhuzh up the soft suede. Right, and that's really all there is to the tricky bit of the card. And now it's just putting it together. Now, one of the choices that my class people got to make is what they did with the distressed gold, or for us, glimmer, specialty glimmer paper. On this card, I put the gold distressed on an angle, so it was more asymmetrical. And in this one, I was more traditional, just a straight border. So whatever you like the look of is what you should do. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by gluing and see what happens next. So a bit of glue. Again, you don't need a heap of glue. It doesn't need to be all over, just around the edges. I think I'm going to just go for a straight look. Okay, and then some glue on my embossed and sponged up panel. Now, I'm being a little more heavy-handed with that glue, and that is for two reasons. Firstly, this piece is textured because of the embossing, and this piece is textured because of the glimmer on it, the glittery bit on it. And so I've put a little bit more glue than I normally would, and I'm just going to press it for a moment or two, just to help those two textured surfaces adhere to each other, which I think you need to do when you're not just adhering flat to flat. Okay, and in fact, if I wasn't doing this for this video, I'd probably stick this under something heavy and leave it for a little bit. Okay, now, also you can see a couple of variations. On this one, I've put the shadow up, and this one I've put it down, you know, whatever you like the look of, pretty much. Also, like, I've got that little line there that I'm not so happy with. If I really cared about it, I could do it like that. But I don't mind it so much that I'm going to do that, because I like it down here in this bottom corner. So I'm going to go that way, and I'm just going to glue here. I'm going to start with that one. And again, I'm just going to press it because, again, I'm adhering to a textured surface. So I want to give it, you know, all the help it can to adhere. The All Is Merry and Bright, I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. Oh, those are minis, don't want those. I like some big ones. So 1, 2, 3, because I don't want them to sag. And get my tweezers, because with my tweezers I can see a bit better where I'm putting it. Okay. Oops. There's a couple of places where the dye didn't quite pick out, so we'll just get rid of them. Okay. Now, the very final thing is, because this is already quite glittery and quite busy, I didn't go overboard on embellishments. But I'm going to add in some of these beautiful festive pearls. And I'm going to, they come in gold, silver, soft succulent and cherry cobbler. So I'm just going to go with a little gold one just there. And you'll just have to imagine that that specialty glimmer paper there is actually distressed gold. Of course, if you prefer distressed gold, that's what you should use. Now, you've got this other piece for the inside, and I'm not going to do that now, but I will just show you what I did. I did a couple of different things. Inside this card, I just partially embossed using the Whimsical Woodland folder down the bottom and had a simple Merry Christmas. This one gave people a different choice. I still use the Merry Christmas, which that beautiful Merry Christmas is out of the... is out of the Brightest Glow set. It's there, that beautiful Merry Christmas. And I used, to get those, some of these dies from Labels Aglow, the large star and a couple of those little stars, and they just give you that nice little cutout look. So that's a couple of ideas for what you can do for the inside of this card. So there it is. It's always going to turn out differently depending on how you ink it up and how you score the card. But I think it's a lovely technique, and it's just a little bit different from things that we've done before. So if, as always, I'm happy to answer questions. You can contact me through my blog, through my Facebook page, or by leaving a comment on this video. If you haven't subscribed, of course, you're welcome to do so if you'd like to see what else I've got. And if you live in New Zealand and you've seen any products that you really must have in your craft room, you're more than welcome to shop at my online store. There's a link to that in the video below or through my blog and Facebook page. Thank you very much for joining me.